Alright, it's late in the afternoon. Just got done with the Sany. Did a couple little projects. They're the first projects. I'm going to kind of spin you around here in a second, kind of show you what we got done today. Did a little laser grading and kind of cleaned up the driveway a little bit. But let me get you turned around here, let you see what we got done. So we put down a little new gravel, reclaimed some of all the grass that grew up into the drive here. We cleaned that up over to the side. Fixed the little swale that I had here. And we did a little bit of, I've got a tilt bucket order, but it hadn't come in yet, so did a little rough grading over here. All in all, a good day, good productive day. I'd say over the John Deere 27C that I had before, this is probably about at least twice as efficient, if not more. Bigger bucket, the machine just weighs more. It's got a lot more power, a lot more breakout force. We got all that cleaned up over there on the edge. It looks nice and smooth and nice now. So now that I've got probably like 8 hours on it, I'm just going to go over the machine real quick, and I've answered most of my questions that I had about the machine before I actually took delivery. Have one or two things that I haven't quite figured out yet, but we're just going to go over the machine. So this is kind of the condition. This is what 8 hours of use looks like. All I did was spray it off with a water hose. A little bit different using the cab. You do have to keep the windows clean so you can see out of them, but the AC is unbelievable. I'll probably never own another machine without a cab on it. The drive system on this works really good. I don't think it's as fast as my John Deere in the 2-speed, but it's still pretty quick. It's just a bigger machine, and this is something, you know, it's not that huge of a difference, but I can tell it's there. The blade's pretty similar. It's a little wider. My old John Deere, I had a brand new cutting edge on it, so it's about the same. Just because, you know, cutting edge is a cutting edge. It's just this blade's a little bit wider. It's a little bit harder to see out of the cab. So I've got used to that, I think, at this point. A couple things on the machine. So I did a fairly thorough inspection of the machine right after I got it. Really, it was just, you know, checking what kind of grease they had used, and getting everything, just make sure it's greased. This was maybe a little over greased here when I got it. I've got some of it cleaned up. The rest of the machine was in pretty good shape. I did have to do quite a bit of work there to get that cleaned up. But you know, it is what it is. One thing, I had this added, and one thing I had to put, I don't know, probably 3/4 of a gallon of hydraulic fluid back in it. These machines for this temperature range take just normal 46. You can run 68 if it's hotter. I didn't know what to think about the light. It looks like you can tilt it down or move it around or what have you. Now that I've used it, especially because I'm so close to the road here, I actually like that. You know, it kind of draws attention to you, make sure, you know, traffic sees you or what have you if you're close to the road, or even just kind of somewhere where there may be vehicular traffic. The manual, I've pretty much kept it here. It seems to live there nice. I'd already mentioned the drink holder. It's right here. Not really usable. So what I ended up doing is basically putting it in the floor of the excavator. So I've been setting just a bottle of water that's sealed right there on the floor. That seems to work really well. Plenty of room in the cab. I haven't had any problems. The AC works great in this unit. and it was really hot today. Worked really good. I've gotten used to the joystick. That joystick is actually, you can see where it is here, so it's pretty far back. So you kind of like, you know, basically have to put your elbow back there. I thought it was going to be a problem, but I got used to it pretty quick, probably within the first 30 minutes of using it. Another thing I did today is, now that I'm really used to the machine, I turned the flow on the thumb back up to, I'm at 75% now. I was at 20. I've gotten used to the proportional control. The wiper and washer work decent in this. The washer it squirts up to about right here on the window, and then the wiper will usually catch some water and slough off anything that's on it. I may look at adjusting that spray nozzle a little bit if it will, but it does work. I've gotten used to the cab and the mirror, so that mirror is actually pretty useful. I've noticed a lot of the pictures that I've seen, a lot of people just have it flipped around out of the way. But like down here at the shop, I'm moving things around, and you really need to look behind you anytime that you're backing up, and that mirror works great. You can see you can kind of see right kind of around the edge of the machine, kind of the view. I'll try to get it as best I can. That's pretty much what you can see from the mirror. So you can actually see the track, see what's directly behind the track. The track system, it's bigger and higher, and it's way easier to keep clean. The John Deere, one size smaller excavator, basically you end up, it's a lot more compact and stuff gets packed in there tighter. This machine, pretty much, a water hose, you can pretty much blast everything out. You don't really need to use a pressure washer. I try to avoid that when possible, but it was really easy to keep the tracks good and clean. So a couple things about this. This door holds this, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a second. So it's got a nice gas shock, lifts that up. Checking maintenance and stuff, it looks really easy to do. You can get to everything. It's a Yanmar engine, so no problems finding filters, etc. for this machine. So you saw there, basically you just grab a hold of this and pull it open. So this actually holds this door. Got your air cleaner. One thing that is really cool in this machine is it actually has a battery disconnect. I've only really seen that on much larger machines. There you can see the hydraulic fluid. So when I did my check, when it was in position of where it was supposed to be checked, it tells you here how to position the machine. It was just barely in the sight glass, so we got that filled up where it should be. I found this compartment is a little tricky to open. The trick to it is you got to push down on it just a little bit, which is going to be really hard. I'll use my arm here. So what I did is I just set my arm down right here and press down on this. There's a little rubber bushing that you got to compress. It's right here. I know a lot of the Sanys that I saw had a metal tank. This one has a plastic tank, big, huge, wide opening. But you do have to get up if you're feeling it. I'm using 5-gallon tanks. It's not super pleasant. What I do is I basically get up on the track here, jump up, and get the nozzle in the tank and kind of tip it over and get it going. I haven't really spilled any fuel, but it is heck on you trying to hold that tank for the minute or two. It feels like 30 minutes, but it's only a minute or two that you got to hold it. The hydraulic feel, the manual really wasn't great. So there's 2 access panels. I'm assuming this one over here is for the filter. There's a vent. This is just a filter. So this unscrews and this top piece unscrews. This is a vent filter. The way I put hydraulic fluid in is I actually removed these hex bolts and took this whole cap off and added hydraulic fluid. That seems to be the easiest way to get it in there. But all in all, good experience with the machine. Got some footage that I'll kind of blend in here that some of my brother operating it and some of me operating. He brought his laser over, and I used a CR700 that I had boom mounted up on the boom, and we did a little grading, laser grading out through there. So the big things that I have questions about on this machine, if somebody has operated one of these, or maybe somebody from Sany, or I'm not even sure that the dealer knew. I asked a couple of questions about these two things, and I didn't get a certain answer, or at least one that made sense to me. On the display, there's an S and a B mode. The manual mentions something about everything on the display, and it just says that one is standard and one is a brake mode. Looking online, it looks like standard is going to honor your auto throttle with the throttle control set to whatever you have. B seems to just run a throttle at a set speed. I don't know whether it's faster, slower, or what have you. I'm assuming that's brake mode. I've been running it in standard because I want the auto idle to work. But if somebody knows what the B mode is actually for, I'd love to hear. One thing that is new on at least on the 2021 that I have is this valve. Now my assumption is that this is for the auxiliary hydraulics. One thing I was thinking, if this was a three-way valve, I would think that this would be the single directional, or this just could be a valve for the return. I'm really not sure. If somebody knows what this actually does, I'd love to know. I've looked all through the manual. It's not even mentioned. It's not in any of the photos in the manual. But it looks like it's just a straight up valve. So basically this, disconnects this hose from this hose. But I'd be real interested to know what this does, if somebody knows what it does for sure, other than some maintenance function or pressure test or something like that. I'm a little wary about actually turning it with the machine on because I don't want to deadhead anything, and I don't really have the manual's not great about explaining what that is. But other than that, everything worked great on the machine today. Ran all day flawlessly. AC worked. Really good digging power. Really happy. I would say that this machine, over any of the class machines, 3.5 to 4 ton, this has as much digging power and efficiency as any of those machines. The only exception is probably the tracks. Some of the other manufacturers, their tracks are definitely faster in 2-speed operation. Now, low speed operation, this is just as good as everybody else. Anyway, I've got some video here. I'm going to show you some of the work we did today, and hope you enjoy it. Be sure to like and subscribe, and leave me a comment on this video. Let me know what you think about this thing. If you know what that valve does, or have more information on the S and B, I'd love to hear about it. Thanks for watching.